Let's take a look at the blend tool and saving a custom set of color swatches in Illustrator. What I have here is a Derek Hess concert poster that I sampled a palette from. I'm going to select all of this and just move it over so that I have some room on the artboard to manipulate. I have a pretty nice palette here, but what I want to see is something that's a color range between this tan and this blue here that I found. So I'm going to select both of those, and then I'm going to hold down Alt. You can see my pointer will switch to a black and white pointer. That'll allow me to drag a copy of these two rectangles that I can work with the blend tool. I'm going to take this blue one and move it down the page so I have some space between them for the blend to form when I make it. I'm going to go ahead and select both of these, align them left just so things stay nice and organized. Now, with both of the rectangles selected that I want to blend, I'm going to go to Object, Blend, and first I have to set the options. So Blend Options. That's going to give me my Blend Options dialog box. I could do smooth color. That would give me a nice smooth gradient, but I find it easier to pull individual colors out of something like this using specified steps, and I easily have room for 15. So I'm going to type in 15, hit OK, and then what I have to do is go back to Object, Blend, and click on Make. That will actually make the blend, and now you can see the range of colors that created. Now what you can see here, this is one object. It's one mathematical blend that the computer is holding on to. You can see this blue line down the center is the actual spine of the blend. To be able to access these as individual rectangles or individual objects, with it still selected, I'm going to go back to Object and Blend, and I'm going to hit Expand. And now you can see the spine is gone, and I have anchor points around the individual rectangles. If I click off to deselect and then click on just one of them, you can see they are by default all still grouped. What I can do is right click on the object, and right in the center is Ungroup. Conversely, Ungroup is also under Object when you have something selected, right? Now if I click off, you can see I have access to these individual swatches. And wow, there's some pretty nice colors in there. Alright, so let's work on saving a palette of swatches to have available to us later. So I'm going to click on my Swatches Palette over here. If you're in an older version of Illustrator and you do not see the stroke and fill indicator in your Swatches palette, you can follow along doing this by opening or expanding all of your panels and working from the stroke and fill indicator in the color palette. You can do the same technique dragging down into the Swatches palette. Alright, so back to just the Swatches palette, right? Let's say I want to grab this one, alright? I'm going to highlight it on the artboard, activate it by clicking on it. Then I'm going to activate the fill within the Swatches palette. I'm going to open this palette up a little bit just so I have some room. That's the dotted indicator at the very bottom. And then if I just click on the fill and drag down, it's showing me the hand, and then now it's showing me the green circle with the white plus sign. If I let go down inside of my palette, pretty much anywhere, you'll see that that fill appears now down in my swatches. So I have that available as a color to put into anything later on, a stroke or a fill or what have you. Let's say the next one I want to grab is this one, sort of in the middle. And again, with the object selected and the color accessed, in this case being the fill, I just click on it, drag down, and drop it inside of my palette. I'm going to do that with a few more colors here. And I also want to throw that original tan down here. Okay, so this is a start. Also, additionally, what you can do, and just as a little proof of what's going on and so that we have something to look at, I'm going to put a larger rectangle here on the artboard with this. Let's use this one. This kind of medium grayish, tannish blue here. Now, with this selected, what I'm going to do so that I have tints available. Tint is when you add white to a color, so it'll appear less saturated. You're actually adding white to it. I'm going to double click directly on the swatch within the palette. That is going to bring out my Swatch Options dialog box. The second drop down here, the color type. If I change this from a process to a spot color and then hit OK, you can see now in the Swatches palette there's a little black dot indicator in the bottom right hand corner that tells me it's now a spot color instead of a process color. But if I open up my color palette, you'll see now what I have available to me instead of the formula is actually a percentage slider, which allows me to find tints of this color. Very handy. Let's do that again. I'm going to go back to the Swatches palette. I'm going to leave, actually let's make a copy of this one so you can see the difference. I'm going to use this darker tan. Okay, so I've filled my object with it. I still have the fill color highlighted within my swatch palette. I'm going to double click directly on that swatch color. It's going to bring up again my Swatch Options dialog box. I'm going to change the color type to spot. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to open up my color palette at the top of my panels over here. And again, you can see I have this slider available for tints. So a very quick and easy way to take a highly saturated palette and tone it down into the land of neutrals. The last thing we need to do is save this so that we have it available for later usage. So back to the Swatches palette. In the bottom left-hand corner is the Libraries menu. I'm going to click to open that. And at the very top, the first one available is Save Swatches. We're going to click on that. Do not change where Illustrator wants to save these palettes. Otherwise, you won't be able to find them later. Don't change the file extension. Don't change where it saves. Change the name. And this one for me is going to be Derek Hess. I'm going to hit enter to save. And now, now you can see if you go back to the Libraries menu in the bottom left-hand corner, all the way at the bottom is User Defined, and that brings up a list of palettes you have available. So if I open that D Hess palette, it opens the swatches that we created.